Mpose Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Mpose Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So with me today, I have Grant Morel, Nick Mutishka, and Amanda Murray. How are you guys?
All good.
Hello?
All good, thank you, Nomsa. And you?
Good, thank you. It's not just me, the audience wants to hear. You can speak, guys. Let the audience know how you're feeling. Are you ready for them? Some juice, because you got some juice for them.
I'm ready. I'm ready with the juice.
Awesome. So our topic today is discover your unique strength, unleash your secret source for success. So I'm not going to explain the topic, but I'm going to let Grant explain the topic because he chose this topic. Grant, would you like to explain the topic to our audience and why you chose it and the benefits they're going to get?
Yeah, thank you, Nomsa. Yeah, it's a subject that's very close to my heart, really. Finding your hidden strengths, because I believe that most people do not live a really truly fulfilled life and they hold themselves back. And one of the reasons is that they don't really understand or aren't aware of the hidden strengths that they have within them. Put another way, I believe that everybody is brilliant. Everybody is brilliant. But a lot of people don't necessarily play to the strengths. While I think it's good to work on your weaknesses, and I do think it's good to work on your weaknesses, often the things you're weak at, you don't necessarily end up excelling at. But where you really make your money, when you really stand up in the crowd, is actually on your strengths. So I like to help people understand what the strengths are, discover the strengths, bring them out, polish them up so that they can share them with the world. So often said in modern day parlance is, what's your secret sauce? So yeah, I think that's the theme of the whole show is today is to find out what people's secret sauce is, how you can discover it, where it is, the benefits of it, and how it can make your life easier. Or put it another way, how you can generate more income in less time, have less stress, and more fun and fulfillment. That's the way I see it. That's the way I wanted to explain it. Nick, have you got any thoughts surrounding that?
Yeah, I love what you just said there, and I agree more that there's just so many people out there that don't play to their strengths and really keep themselves small. And I think that's something that we get right from, I guess, childhood and patterning and whatnot, is to you don't want to rock the boat, and you don't want to make other people feel bad, and like all these things that are planted in our head. And what it ends up doing is just keeping us small. And it's really quite sad when you see how many people out there are living that way, that are just not, they're not pushing themselves, they're not doing their best, and it just leads to basically an unfulfilled life. And how if you do push and you do act on those, those little nudges and guidances, and when someone says, oh, you're really good at this, and if you go that direction and push yourself, how your life can totally change. So I love this topic, and I think it's a good one for anyone to listen to, and for myself, just as a reminder to keep pushing. Amanda, what do you think?
I love this topic because it connects to one of my passions as well, which is creativity. And I believe that your creativity and your unique creativity connects to exactly what Grant was talking about, because I believe we are all creative and that we all have our own unique creative capacities. And when we step into that power, we're truly stepping into our dharma, which is our purpose. And one of my favorite quotes, actually, I just posted it on Instagram yesterday. It says, you can be engineering, philosophy, math, and science as much as you can be in music, dance, or painting. And that's from Sir Ken Robinson. And it's because we often think that we're only creative if you paint or draw or act or sing. And really, there's creativity even in the tables that we build or the structures that we build, or there's engineering or woodworking or metalworking, that where you can be super creative as well. And it's just when you think a little bit outside the box, or when you find that passion that's yours. And I think sometimes we often feel like I need to be good at everything. And that's not true. If you are an Olympic athlete, your focus is your sport. Your focus isn't, okay, I got to be good at painting, and I have to be good at making clothing, and I have to be good at speaking, and I have to be good at this. There's like, no, we focus down into what is our passion. And then that's where we find our spark and our fulfillment, is when we're living in that like secret creative, or whatever it is that is your passion or dharma. And I think that's something that we all need to find within ourselves. And it might not be to be an Olympic athlete, but it might just be something that we absolutely love to do. And when we absolutely love to do something and we do more of it, that's when we feel more fulfilled. And so I think sometimes finding our secret sauce is a little bit about going back to what is it that you love to do when you were a child, and can you find more time to do that?
I love that, Amanda. I think, yeah, you're right, everyone. I think we are all creative, and we are all talented. And I love the topic, Grant, because we don't push ourselves, like what Nick was saying, that there are so many people who are out there who are very talented, but they never really push themselves to become the person they should become. And it's either they listen to other people that they are not enough, or it's either the circumstances, they talk them out of becoming who they want to become, or maybe their childhood, people use events to say, I can't do this because of what was done to me. I can't do this. I watch people who have gone through so much pain, like on YouTube, you listen to somebody's story and I'm like, okay, I thought my story was big, but this one is too much for me to carry. But if you look at the success they have, they are successful because they allowed themselves to become who they want to become. And also, Amanda, you were talking about strength, that we have to look at our strength and our weaknesses. And going back to your childhood, the things that you love to do. Because when you are a child, is that where you choose your talent. And when you choose your talent, you don't have time to say, oh, I'm shy, I can't do this. You're doing it because you love it and you don't really care about what people think. That is the moment where you get to realize where your talent is, and just get on with it. But it's not easy. I know it's easy for me to say that, but if you really was to put strength and just don't worry about what people think. Like myself, I've had people telling me that, who do I think I am? Before I had a degree, people used to tell me that people who have degrees, they can't do this. I don't have a degree. I think I can do. Who do I think I am? I think I can do this. Now I have a degree. They don't use the degree. They use the other things. So the best way for me to our audience, if you are watching, just do the things that you love to do, whatever the talent you have within. Just go for it. Grant, if somebody, they're talented, how do they unleash that talent within themselves?
Great question, Ramsa. Thanks. And I think you said a key word just now, and you said allow themselves. Now, I just finished coaching a client just before I jumped on here, who's a very talented person, very talented, very prepared, very analytical. Yet, I discovered some of the greatest moments in their life through my formal questioning. I discovered the greatest moments in their life actually come from synchronicity. Or should I say, a great combination of preparedness and synchronicity. So sometimes people's individual formula for success isn't necessarily what they think it is, because we pattern match. We think, yeah, I know it's because I'm really prepared. That's why I'm successful. And if anybody's ever read the book, The Tipping Point, There's a series of events in that book where people attribute success to one thing, when upon deeper analysis, the route to success may not have been the thing that they thought. So it's about exploring what really has worked, the evidence in people's lives, because we've all got a different route to success, because we all have different unique talents. And I think when we look at this now, yeah, this guy is clearly very prepared, and it served him very, very well to be prepared. And some of his answers were very different to other clients' answers. He's been very prepared. So that's been his go-to thing: prepare, study, analyze, do this, and it works out generally very well for him. And it does. Yet his moments of genius have come from synchronicity. And sometimes that's a way of just relaxing and just letting go now. Because when you do that, you can free up space in your mind, and that's when creative thoughts come in. It's not always hard work that brings chaos. It's a state of mind. It's a state of openness, receptiveness. And this can be the difference that really makes the difference. It can be the cherry on the cake, okay? That's the thing. So it's often about finding that unique blend that, again, is unique to you. And that comes from looking deep inside yourself. I always recommend getting a coach who understands that, who can walk you through it, because that's what turns you from an average performer to an outstanding performer. And again, you don't get paid a lot of money for being average. You've got to be doing something different. I'll give you one example. One day, people know I used to teach networking skills all over the world. I finished a networking meeting and I was in a restaurant having a coffee after. Got talking to a chap who I probably thought was an engineer. Turns out he's been in the music industry for 40 years. Runs a huge, huge production house, and with some of the greatest names in soul. He's really funny, and he just happened to live nearby us one. We became friends, and was talking, looking for talent. And he said, "Grant, if you ever see any talent, let me know." And, you know, occasionally I did. And what we said is, you know, he said, "This sounds harsh, but we aren't looking for people who can sing well. The world's full of great singers. What we need is someone who's different, who stands out." And that's what people, he said, if I give you a really obvious analogy, when you hear Rod Stewart sing, you know it's Rod Stewart immediately. That's what we're looking for. There's 1,000 great singers, there's 1,000 great guitarists, and all credit to them. But we need something that stands out. And that's what I like to do, is help people stand out. And I think that's what people need to do, is discover what really stands out about you, because that's your unique selling point. That's what I think, Nomsa. Amanda, you must see this with kids, I'm thinking. What do you see? What do you notice? I'd love to know.
Yeah, I always try to teach the kids that, like, everybody has their own strengths and everybody has areas that aren't their strengths, something that they don't love to do. And that's okay. That we have to, in school, learn a bunch of different things, but at home, they will get time to really focus on those skills. And then two, there are areas where some people shine and some people don't, and that's okay. Because we know which kids in the class we can go to be like, "Hey, can you draw this for me?" Or, "Hey, can you help me with this math problem?" We know which kids are really good at those things, but everybody has different strengths. The kids who are really good at math, not necessarily the ones that could help you draw or help you write a story. Or there's some kids that are really good at certain things and then have no social skills. And so there's things that we can look at. And I always try to be like, do what it is that you love to do. And we won't worry so much about different areas that aren't necessarily your strength. We still have to work on them, because you still have to be able to, like, write a letter or write a cover letter if you want a job and these sort of things. But there's other areas where you shine, and that's what you want to do, like, outside of school. But inside of school, we have to still learn some of these other things. But there are projects that we can do where we'll each take our own strengths. And so sometimes I'll let the kids write a story together, and also like illustrate it. And so we'll see the kids who are like, I'm going to draw the whole thing. And then the other kid that loves to write, and then the other kid that loves to act. And they just like feed off of each other's strengths. And that's where I really loved teaching, is where I can build big projects where kids can feed off of each other's strengths, especially projects like I used to do robotics a lot. And in it, I would do things where I didn't necessarily know the answer. And I'd be like, I know the robot is capable of doing this, but I don't know how to program it. So figure it out. And eventually, like one kid would figure it out, or one small group would figure it out. And then the kids would come to me and be like, how'd they do that? I'm like, I don't know, go ask them. So then they go ask them. And then two groups would know. And then the next kids would come up to me and be like, how'd they do that? And be like, go ask them. I have no idea. Because I literally didn't know what they exactly programmed into the computer to make it do what I had asked them to do. I only knew the robot had the capability of doing it. And so eventually, all of the kids in the class would know exactly what to do in order to program the robot to like move a meter forward, spin around in a circle, and then say hello. That's what I would be like, okay, this is task number 1. And we're learning to program it. And then eventually my entire class would know, except I'm the only one who wouldn't know what to program it to make it do exactly that. I just knew the robot was capable of doing those things. And so I'd make up different projects like that. And it's amazing which kids in all other areas of what we're doing in school are not like thriving, but then in projects like that, they're just like, they're on it and they're helping everybody else, and they like know what's going on because they're very hands-on kinesthetic learners. And so projects like that are really important. And I think so often in our education system, we don't have opportunities for projects like that because we're so focused on filling the curriculum and checking the boxes and making sure we do all of the things that it says in the curriculum. And really the best learning happens when they're teaching each other and when they're problem solving things that maybe the teacher doesn't even know the answer to. And that's where I feel like kids' creativity just thrives and where we can build on our strengths. So then if you're not the best coder in the classroom, then you're writing a story about what the robot's doing, or you're the one that's illustrating what the story or something like that. And that's where we can build on each other's strengths within the classroom. And I think that's such a powerful way to look at it. And so often, like even teachers will come to me with a computer problem and I'll be like, I suck at Chromebooks. I have no idea how to use them. So I'll just like ask one of the kids and they always know what to do. It's so funny. I'll be like, hey, come here. This split screen thing is, I don't know how to do it on the PC or on the Chromebook. Can you fix it? And they're like, here you go. And they fix it for me. And it's so awesome. But I'll give them, for example, I told them, we're going to learn how to log into Canva. This was just 2 days ago, because I learned that Canva was an approved program for our school and our school board. And I love using Canva. And now one of my students, because he follows me on TikTok, has been sending me like instructional videos about Canva, like stuff that I didn't even know how to do. And I'm like, this is amazing. He's like sending me all these videos but he's like, I can't, because he was first like, what's Canja? And I was like, I'll tell you tomorrow, because we ran out of time because there's this big spring concert going on and my week is complete chaos. But now he like clearly went home and looked up what it was. And now it's been like TikToking videos, sending me instructional videos. I'm like, clearly, and this is a kid that loves technology and is just so passionate about it. So that's that kid's strength. So he's going to teach the class how to do Canva, not me.
I think that's fantastic. I love that. That is brilliant. He's going to teach the class, not you. And it seems to me that you can just go to school, get paid to go to school, and the kids will teach you how to run your business and do. It's great. And I also really like just sorry to jump in, guys. I just really like what Amanda was saying about when the kids were saying, how do you do that? And you're saying, I don't know, ask them. Just getting those kids to communicate with each other is such an important skill. And I think that's brilliant, how you just, diminish responsibility. Or even though you could find out, you say, I don't know, go and ask them. It's great. It's getting them used to dealing with other people, other teams, and those vital life skills. Really good. Really impressed with that. That's good. Oh, fantastic.
And then what a great skill you're giving them too, right? Those kids that are being asked, how do we do this? Is like how much more you retain when you're teaching something versus when you're being taught it. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's easier for you and it's helping the kids. So it's a win-win for sure. I was thinking about what it must be like to be a teacher and like see that look on a kid's face when they figure something out and feel that energy from them when they're in that zone, when they're like, I get it and I'm excited about this, and it's, I mean, it translates to adults too, and you can just feel that from people when they're in that zone. And for me, it's a lot of times it's what I consider the flow state, and that's when you're in a point when you're doing something that's challenging you, but it's not too challenging, but it's still pushing you to use all of your faculties basically to do whatever the task is. So it's not boring to you, but it's not like too overwhelmingly challenging, and your skills are right there kind of matching that whatever the challenge is. And you get into that zone when time doesn't seem to really matter, right? Like, yeah, an hour can fly by and it feels like minutes. Or the inverse too is like, you know, that basketball shot that like it just seems to like everything slows down in that moment too. And it's just such a cool place to be, is in that zone when everything's just clicking and you're just in that moment. And for me in my life, those are the moments that I really crave. And I think as an adult, there's so much time of the day when there's just thoughts and things going on in your brain constantly coming in at you. And when you're in that moment, when you're being challenged and doing something that's outside of your usual day to day, it's in those moments when all that chatter quiets down, because you can only process so much information at one time. And so all that other stuff goes away and you're just focused on the task. And those, again, for me, are those moments that I really, really crave. And that's skiing fast or pushing myself physically down a mountain and at high stakes. But that always gets my my juices flowing, if we're talking about juices and secret sauces here. Or yeah, riding a motorcycle or something like that. It's always been those are the moments that I really crave. And then to translate that into kind of your life and what you're doing in your life is, if you can find something that you can do that puts you in that zone, in that creativity, when you're really in the zone, and then you can find a way to have that be your job, or something that you do for money. I mean, that's the goal for everyone, and it's unfortunate that more people don't find that in their own life, but it's available to everyone. And I love what everyone said prior to this, and that's that everyone is amazing and everyone has these amazing talents that unfortunately in a lot of cases go to the grave with the person, because they've never really pushed themselves to explore whatever that talent is. And I'll just touch on one more thing. And Nomsa, you mentioned what you were talking about was kind of a victim mindset almost at one point. And so it's like, oh, I can't do that because of my parents, or because I have kids, or because, anyways, it's always some sort of an excuse, or yeah, something happened to me in my life, so I can't do that. And then the opposite of that is just taking radical responsibility for your own life and being the author of your own life, because that's exactly what we are. And we have the power to completely transform our own lives regardless of our circumstances, if we start to watch what our thoughts are, and if we really start to work on those things that bring us into a positive mindset, and then focus on the things that bring us joy in our lives. And it's just that victim mindset versus being the author of your own life. And I know which one I'm choosing. Don't get me wrong, there's still those moments where I get sucked into that old programming, and I get in a low point, but I'm finding my ways to get myself out of that quicker and quicker. And there's a lot of great people out there on different social media platforms that can really, for me, I'll listen to someone for a few moments and it'll be like, oh yeah, I was, and then I'll find myself catching myself and being like, oh yeah, I was going to that more of that victim mindset versus the opposite. And so, yeah, I would just encourage people to try and stay in that positive, creative, flowing kind of energy more and more, because that's where good things happen. Absolutely.
So nice. I like that. You know, it's an interesting thing that you latched upon it just now there, Nick. And I think it is, you said about when time goes really fast. And I always think that if people understand their strengths, those things, when it never feels like you're working, just doesn't feel like you're working. And the question I ask people is this: if there was no money in the world, and I know you're going to say, but there is, but just imagine, only imagine now for a moment that there was no money. We don't need money to survive. Our house, our home is just somehow provided for us. There's no money. You don't need money in the world. What would you do? What would you spend your time doing? That could well be the thing for you. And those things could be where your secret sauce is, where your talent is. You have a talent for helping people. Is it baking great cakes? I don't know. Is it figures, working with figures, with numbers? Is it creativity? Do you just love taking photographs? Do you take the best photographs that anyone's ever seen? Is that who you are? You know, is it getting inside of people's minds and understand what's going on? You have a fascination with study and research. Is it healthcare? I don't know. But what's the thing for you? What's the thing that really lights you up? The thing that makes you jump out of bed in the morning? If you could wave a magic wand and perhaps have a job, had the most perfect job in the world for you, what would that thing be? Then, as you said, Nick, you are the author of your own life. This is your life. It isn't a dress rehearsal. We're here now, stuck in it, feet on the ground, make the best of it. Why not just create the life you want and do the things you want? After all, I don't know about you, but I get to the point where I think, I'm a bit too old to be doing things I don't want anymore. That's just too boring. Just do the things you want. Just spend your days doing the things you love and really fulfill, because you can help more people doing that. Because if you're doing, if I do things I don't really like doing, even though sometimes I do that just to challenge myself, I don't like doing this, I'm just going to do it just with a little bit of discipline, that's good. But when I really do my work in this world, it's when I do the things I love doing, because I excel at them, which means I can really help people by doing those things and leave a better footprint behind on this earth, by doing things that are helping people. Certainly, when I do things I do begrudgingly, I'm not doing my best work. It's kind of like, it's like, it's a trudgery, and that's not my best work. Yeah, it's good to do. It's good to push myself now and then, just a little bit of discipline. But my real creative, my value work is doing the stuff I love doing. And a lot of people rely on their natural talents, I notice. So I'm a keen observer of human beings. And I came out of good old Starbucks the other day and noticed some people walking down the road, and I looked at them and I realized, it's going to sound weird, but I'm going to go for it anyway. There was a very, very tall lady down the road in a tracksuit. It was clearly a very athletic lady, by the way she was dressed in, her demeanor. And I thought, so she's good at athletics. Partly genetic, I would think. And I thought, I wonder if she actually likes sports and athletics, or whether she's just damn good at it. Now, if you get good at anything, it's partly natural talent and partly learning skill coaching, right? But what if she wasn't naturally good at athletics? She could train to become the best she could be. Would she still be doing it? And I'm thinking it's just walking out of Starbucks, walking for the high street. And I thought, yeah, I get it. Human beings, we do things not necessarily because of the thing, but because of the way the thing makes us feel. So she probably gets massive amounts of recognition, appreciation, fulfillment from achieving well in athletics. Now, I'm assuming this girl was an athlete, right? She looked like she was. She had all the demeanor, the dress and everything. So I just wondered, when you look at a lot of people, we tend to follow our natural talents. Is it because we really like them? Because after all, we didn't work for them. We were just given them. Do we really like them? Or are we just liking the feeling it gives us? Or if you're speaking to neurologists out there, we're talking about the chemical hit that it gives your brain, probably that dopamine. So I think we're addicted to dopamine. I think we like the way things make us feel. We like the applause. We like the appreciation. We like the feeling of accomplishment, all or some of the above. And I think this could be the thing. So my question to you is, there's nothing wrong with that either. So what's the thing where you get recognized the most? And if you don't know, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself a question. No, in fact, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to save the question to the end. A question for you to help you find your secret sauce. And I just wanted to throw that slightly abstract thought into it, but I think I'm onto something. What do you think? Am I talking nonsense or am I onto something? What do you think, guys? What do you think?
I have something to say because I think it ties into what you guys were all talking about, it, and Nick too, where he gets those highs from doing things like skiing down a mountain faster, mountain biking, or whatever it is. And I find if I have to sit in a meeting and they're like, we need to get this and this and this done and come up with ideas, I'm like, there's nothing. There's nothing coming out of me. And that I'm like, so I've learned to just say to people, if you need something from me, tell me what it is, walking down the hallway or whatever, and let me think on it, because I'll come up with an idea in the shower, on a walk, on the ski hill. I'm never going to come up with an idea in a meeting. And I saw this meme the other day, and it was like, my creativity in a meeting, and it was like a faucet like slowly dripping, and then it was like my creativity out in nature, and it's like this waterfall like spewing down, because that's where I get the most ideas. And sometimes I think when people are stuck, they hyper focus on their problem and getting out of it and what they need to do. And sometimes you just need to take a step back and be like, I'm going to do something that I just enjoy, so that I allow myself to unwind a little bit. And that idea might just pop into your head and you're like, that's the thing I need. That's exactly what I need. Or even you're sleeping and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, that's it. Like, have a notebook beside your bed, because you never know when the best idea that's going to completely change your life is going to pop into your mind. And I guarantee you, it's not in a meeting. Like, never, ever, ever. And so I've gotten very good at just vocalizing that to the people at work, being like, if you want me to come up with something for the school, and it just did. We're doing the spring concert at work, and they're like, we need artwork for the school, and you're the best at thinking of something to decorate the gym in. And will you come to the meeting? And I said, no, I will not come to the meeting. You can tell me about it passing down the hallway as I walk to my classroom, and let me sit on it for the weekend or for a few days or whatever. And I will come up with something, and I will tell it to you, and you can present it to the staff meeting, but I'm not coming to the staff meeting. Like, it was an optional staff meeting for people who wanted to give ideas for the spring concert. And so anyways, I said, get the music teacher to come talk to me, tell me what the vision is. And so anyways, she told me the vision, and I was like, okay, I'll come up with something. So we just like pinged ideas off of each other the next day. And now our entire gym, because the focus of the spring concert is dreams, has a picture of every single student with a dream for themselves, a dream for our community, and a dream for the world. And so we have a thought bubble coming out of their heads with a picture of them for their dream for themselves, and then a heart for the dream for our community, and then a star, which is their dream for the world. And it's like there's over 500 pictures of kids with these thought bubbles going up above them, and the gym looks absolutely amazing. If you told me I have to sit in this meeting and come up with an idea for that, it never would have happened ever in a million years. But because I just was able to be like, nope, give me time to think on it. And I was like, did it like on Canva, creating so we had the templates for everything, I had everything sent out, and I was able to make a template and everything within a day and get the kids to do it within 2 days, so that we had a sample to present to staff, so that they had 2 weeks to prepare. But if you had told me that I had to do it and be creative in that exact moment, it never would have happened. And so sometimes I think we just need to take a step back. And ideas started popping into my head when I was at the gym, not sitting in a meeting. So I think sometimes we do need to take a step back and allow that creativity to flow in, and that secret sauce to flow in when we're least expecting it.
You know, Amanda, I was in a meeting last night and I thought of you, because you've always said that, you know, in meetings, hey, Amanda, come up with great ideas. And you're like, not coming, it doesn't happen. I was in a meeting last night and had the same kind of thing. I was like, I'll come up with some great ideas during the week, but it'll be like when I'm making a cup of tea in the kitchen, or I'll be in a shower and I'm like, that's it. Or I get those, I don't know if anyone else gets it. I have those lucid dreams, probably just as you're waking up. Like the song, I had a great song that came in my mind just as I was waking up the other day. And I was like, I never would have thought of that when I'm consciously, never. And I was like, yeah, got that idea. I've just got the whole pattern. The stuff I don't normally get just came to me. It's in that lucid waking up moment I'm at my most creative. And I have some bloody good ideas at that time. And it really worked. Don't forget that Einstein used to have this technique, and so did the great artist Salvador Dali. They would sit there very tired in a chair, and with various forms. I think Salvador Dali did this with a silver teaspoon. But just hold it in his fingertips like this and nod off. And of course, as you nod off, you know what would happen. The spoon will drop, hit the ground, and wake you up. At that moment, whatever he saw, he would make a note of and would go back and paint it later. Because in that lucid dreaming, sort of half awake, half asleep moment, there's some really interesting chemicals going around in the brain. And that stuff, if you can capture that, that's lightning in a bottle. And I think this is the best place. Again, that's not going to work for some people. It's about knowing your individual style of doing it. But I can't sit at the boardroom table and think great things. Kind of structural things, yeah. But creative stuff, I have to be laying down on the sofa with my feet just looking up and just probably not even looking at something. I used to freak out my marketing lecturer at university. He used to think I was asleep because I'm quite visual. So I'd look at him and I'd be getting caught up looking at his hairstyle or his collar. I think, did he iron that shirt? Because that right collar tabs up a little. I know what we're listening to, what you're saying. I get distracted. So I'd sit there like this. And it's a grunt. Are you awake? I'm like, yeah, I'm really interested in what you're saying. He was okay after a while, but it used to freak him out, first of all. I wanted to cut out the non-essentials so I could just listen and process what he was saying, because I realized that works well for me. But for other people, not at all. They take copious notes. They will listen. Some people will observe. It's however you are. I've got a good colleague, they can't have a conversation if a television's on in the background, even though it distracts them. They're very auditory. They're very highly auditory. So they get distracted easily by sound. And there we are. But yeah, that's what I think. I love that, Amanda. Love what you've mentioned there. That's really, really good. Nick and Nomsa, what are you thinking? What about your styles and the styles of people you know? How diverse do they get?
Go ahead, Nomsa. I'll go after you.
You go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I love this conversation. Those are great things you guys are bringing up there. And I was just thinking about how we learn and how it's such a process at first, and it's like those neurons that fire together wire together kind of concept. So at first, those neural pathways just aren't there when you're doing something new. And I was teaching my 4-year-old how to do the rocker symbol the other day, and it was like so cool to watch him like figure it out. He would like hold his hand up, and then his like little finger would like kind of like come up slowly, and then he would get another one up, and it was like you could just see like how much concentration it took. And then like how immediately after doing it once, then he was able to like get it up a lot quicker. And then how, and just to think about what's going on in his brain, and how those, you know, those neural networks and that those pathways are for the first time being connected, because he's never made that particular movement before. And it was just such a cool thing to have, I guess, that insight while like real time while that was happening. And that happens to us all the time when we're learning something new, and it's that kind of awkward at first. It's really clunky and it's hard, and it's it doesn't flow at all. It's quite the opposite. And then how amazing it is that if you keep practicing something, whether it's throwing up a rocker cymbal or playing a guitar or skiing or learning how to paint or like anything you can think of, it's that pushing through that initial kind of clunkiness and hard, because yeah, you got to give yourself some credit and some grace, because those neural networks have never been fired together, right? And so it's going to take a little bit of time. And then just to give a little appreciation for us as humans, and how amazing we are, and how if you practice something enough and dedicate time and energy and your resources to it, how you can become amazing at like the kind of, if you think about it like from a zoomed out perspective, like kind of a silly thing, like I'm thinking about professional hockey, let's say. Like if you were an extraterrestrial watching this planet, and you see these grown men flying around a sheet of ice with blades strapped to their feet, like pumping around this little rubber disc, it's like that's kind of silly, right? Like if you look at it from a really zoomed out perspective. But like how, if as a, well, and especially here in Canada, like as a child, that's like, it's, and especially the kids that really excel at it, like that's their life. They put so much focus into it. And how if you do put that focus, that level of attention and practice and all the things that go into it, how amazing as human beings you can become if you dedicate those hours to that. And it translates across the board, whatever it is, whether it's, like I said, like playing a guitar, playing hockey, skiing, like painting. It's like those high level people in our society that you see that are just phenomenal at whatever it is. It's like, that didn't just happen, right? Like certainly there's some talent, and people have gifts for sure from their genetics and whatnot. But at the same time, you still got to put in that time and that effort to really, really hone your craft. And I've heard that it takes about 10,000 hours, I don't know if this is true or not, but about 10,000 hours to like really master a skill, whatever that is. And so, yeah, I think a lot of times we think that things should just come easier, and we're really, I think, quick to maybe give up on things that don't come easy right off the hop. And again, I'm not saying that you should try and be master at everything, because that's just not realistic. But whatever that thing is that really lights you up and puts you into that flow state is something is worth doing, because it will not only brings you joy, but, and in an ideal circumstance, it can bring you joy, and it can be a way that you can earn a living. Sorry, I know I got kind of off topic there, but I just wanted to add that. Over to you, Nomsa.
Where do you get your best ideas for your clothing line? When do you get them? Do they just come to you, or what is it that has driven your clothing line creativity and gotten you into your secret sauce, as Grant calls it, of creativity and following your passion?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's when I can get out of my own way. So whatever that time is, it's when I can shut down that, that, oh no, you can't do that, or you don't know how to do this, or when I can get to that place mentally where I can like, okay, shut up. You're not being helpful right now. I appreciate you for keeping me safe up till now, but now it's time to like get into that zone. So I can't say it's like a specific place or time. It's like, it's just those times when I can shut down that distraction and just get into the zone. And so it's just setting aside the time to put that energy into being creative and shutting down those distractions, whether it's people around me or even noise or whatever. It's getting to that place of focus. And I do think that a lot of my ideas come, and it's funny, I know someone's mentioned shower here earlier today, and that's a real thing for me, is a lot of ideas come in the shower. And then also just with young kids around, I tend to have more ideas in the evening once they're in bed, once kind of the house quiets down. So I think, and Grant, you mentioned you work with someone that has that auditory, they get really distracted, and I think that makes sense for me too. So it's just, and it's going to be different for everyone, but for me, it's when things are quiet and I have kind of some space to just concentrate on being creative.
I love that, Nick. I can't wait in the noise as well. When there's too much noise or too much disagreement, I can't work, I can't think. I have this guy, is so clever. I was talking to him yesterday, and he's telling me ideas, 87 ideas, and I was like, you got to narrow it down, because 5 for me for the beginning, that's enough. And it was like, what do you mean? I was like, I just need to think about 5 ideas. If you're telling me now you're listing things, this is what it should be done, and this is what it should be done. I'm like, just let's start with 5. From the beginning, it was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, then it's going to take you forever to build your own business. And I was like, are you kidding me? So you would have all these ideas, you've got to do them. Because no, sir, I don't have to do them. I have to get people to do them. I just bring out the ideas and somebody gets on with it. They get paid to do the ideas. So I was like, that's a bit. So I was like, okay, I chosen this guy because I'm doing a confidence challenge. So I had to pick a few people to build a proper relationship with him, with these 3 people. So I picked my mom and the other girl. So today, this morning, I'm getting out, I'm dressed up, I'm going to work, dropping my daughter first from school. And it goes, I'm doing training. So you want to be my friends? Come on, let's go. We are running now. You wearing clothes for work, but you're wearing trainers. So we're running. We're going to take your daughter to school. I was like, not now. I was like, okay, let's go then. So he's telling me that, no, sir, the idea is if you have people that can help you with that, like if you have ideas, get somebody to create those ideas. While you develop the ideas, your mind is there to develop the ideas. And you're talking about shower, Nikki tells me the shower, he goes, can you see how the water comes down? It comes down like this, and then there's this. You start with that idea there, you hang them, the idea in the shower. They don't come out like the water comes out. And then when you're ready, you bring them down step by step. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to teach me that, but it's going to take me a long time to actually, I have to prepare my mind, because he is so fast and he knows exactly what he's doing. So we're talking about the podcast, and it goes, I'm like, YouTube, and he goes, no, you have to do this, you have to do this. I was like, okay, I think I need to sit down. He was like, we don't need to sit down, Nomsa, because by the time I see you, that will be after maybe 3 weeks or maybe after a week. That's why we have WhatsApp. So he goes, if you want to develop a business, video chat. So he was like, we have to do the video chat. And I was like, why did I put myself into it? And it was like, you said you want training. This is the training. You've got to learn to think. You got to learn, like Amanda is saying that if somebody says, give me the idea, for me, I can't give you the idea if we are at the meeting. But if we're in a space where there's no pressure, we are talking, you ask me questions, I'll be able to give you ideas. I'll get creative and give you ideas. But if you ask me while we're in the meeting, for me, the meeting is where the ideas have developed. We talk about the ideas that we have already thought about it. So I'm like, no, I wouldn't come up with the ideas. I need to think first. I know when I need to think, and this guy I'm telling him I need to think, he's like, no, you don't have to think, Nomsa. You got to learn. It's like, if you are talented, you got to learn to use your talent. Your job is to develop your skills, to bring out the ideas, and somebody else to create those ideas. That's what you need to do. You can't do both. It doesn't work like that. It was like, okay, now you're taking me to somewhere else, and I don't know what I put myself, but it's a good challenge for me. And also, it's like, you play football, your children, do they play football? I was like, no. It was like, okay, here's the football players. They're going to hang out. And now the guys, the Reading professional football players, they will just come outside to my house and call my daughter, my youngest one, and say, come and play. It's time to play. So it was like, that's how you do things, Nomsa. When you say you're going to be friends with somebody that is successful, and that friend, you don't have time to play. You have to be in the game. Your mindset has got to be in the game. So it's like, okay, then my mind has to develop. And then Martin comes home. And then he says hello to Martin, and he tells Martin about his life, his story. And Martin goes, I don't know you, I never met you. And he goes, don't worry, your children have told me about your life. And I was like, this man is bonkers. He's completely bonkers. But apparently that's what, if you want to find the strength, you have to learn your weaknesses. And when you learn your weaknesses, because we believe that we have to admire other people. Some people are not talented. Somebody will be like coming on Facebook and say, you know what, Ngozi Talk Shows, Grant is really good, or Amanda, Nick, and Nomsa. But you know what? Everybody can do what we are doing. Everyone is talented. The only problem is, do you have the courage to put yourself out there? That is the only way. Do you have the courage to actually take the step? It's like, Nick, you were comfortable, you had a good job, you had everything, but then you were like, that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to change my career, and you went for it. That was the unknown. Life, you have to go for the unknown in order for you to look back and teach somebody and say, I did this. And your children as well, they are watching, like Amanda's daughter, Grant. You don't have children, Grant, don't you? But you have nieces or you have nephews. They're all learning from us. So it's just life. We're just learning to put ourselves out there. And knowing that the power of repetition as well, when you repeat things over and over and over, you become good at it. You can't just be good, like Nico was saying, just by doing things and then you become good. You have to keep repeating it, then you become good. And when you become good, then you develop it to the next level. So those are the things that the audience that are watching, they need to understand that they are capable of becoming something, and they are capable of being somebody, writing their own story and creating it. And when you write your own story, it's just finding that one person that believes in you, and the rest. If I can tell you the things that I've been told growing up, that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this because of this. There's too many reasons people will do it. But me, I was very, very lucky. My dad and my stepdad and my mom, very, very positive people. Like my mom, she's into fashion, Nick. She's completely bonkers. She goes to a shop and then she will test. she's a fashion designer, she'll draw things, but then the material, when she buys material, she'll test it in her mouth. I was like, what are you doing? And she goes, if the material is salty, that means it's not real. So when you test the material, you cannot test salt in it. So whenever you buy a dress, you have to a little bit just test it. That means it's real. But if it's not the material, that means when you put it in the washing machine, the color comes out. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, she's really good.
It's a great tip. I love that.
So it's 2:00. Amanda, Grant, Amanda needs to go. I don't know who wants to go first. Tell our audience who you are, guys, and where they can find you, because Amanda has to rush.
Yeah, Amanda.
You go first, Amanda. So when they're taking long, you just have to excuse yourself.
Well, I am a teacher and author, and I help people inspire and empower themselves to their own creative gifts. And I just love helping people spark their creativity within themselves. And so you can find me at artmindfulnessandcreativity.com, and it's the same on all social media. Grant?
Thank you, Amanda. My name's Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. And over those past 20 years now, myself and international teams have helped thousands of individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners, and organizations across 15 plus countries now. We've helped them to increase their profits by up to 200% in just a few short months. We've helped them to do this by working with their team. And as I always say, everybody actually does have a team, whether you know it or not, with their systems, their mindset, and their strategy, so that they can live that life of passion, purpose, and freedom, and develop a business and a lifestyle that can become a legacy for generations to come. That's who I am. That's what I do. But I want to give you just a couple of quick tips before we close, and that's how to discover your unique strengths, to unleash that secret sauce that you have. Again, we said it earlier. What's the thing that gets you jumping out of bed in the morning? What's the thing you absolutely love? When is it when it just feels like it's not work at all? So in other words, if there was no money in the world, you didn't need to go to work, you didn't need to earn money, what would you spend your time doing? That could be something you love. And also, here's one more tip. Just ask 3 people that you trust. 3 people. Ask them, what do you think my individual skills are? And here's the tip. Don't do what most people do when they tell you. Don't negate them. Say, oh, I think I'm rubbish at that. I think I'm good at this. They're not asking your opinion. You're asking their opinion. People that know you, people who you trust, what do they see as your 3 biggest skills? I want to tell you, all you say is, thank you. That's it. And just absorb the lesson. Often, the greatest skill you have is something you don't realize, but others do. So just listen to what other people are telling you, because there's a lot of secret sauce in there. I'm done. Nick, over to you, my friend.
I love that. Yeah, your last little bit there is great. I'm going to use that in my own life for sure. So yeah, I'm Nick. I run a fashion apparel brand here in Canada called Flow State Designs. So focused on using natural fibers and being locally made and just generally being cool as hell. The clothing, of course. Well, I am too, but that's another story. So yeah, that is something that I've been working on for the last few years. Prior to that, I was a police officer for the better part of my adult life. And I've ended up resigning from that position actually a day shy of a year. So April 20th of last year was my last official day as a police officer. So my anniversary date of going all in on my passion is tomorrow. So that's exciting. And yeah, I also feel really called to share my story of, so I ended up with post-traumatic stress disorder, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me because of the post-traumatic growth that I've been able to harnessed and realized since then. So one of my missions is to share my story. And so if anyone's interested in hearing more about that, you can connect with me on all the social medias at Flow State Designs, and on my website, which is below my picture here. Thank you. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nick, Amanda, and Grant. And for me, the advice I'll leave you guys with is you have to write your own story. For me to be able to do the things that I do now is I had to go back, like Amanda what was saying earlier. I went back to my childhood, and I was very, very honest within my heart, and just to find out my identity, because that's where my identity was created. So I realized actually everything that I did that moment, it was all to do with performing, being on stage. I was very a smart child, but I didn't like the books. So if you were to look for me, you'll find me outside playing football, hiding, climbing trees, and singing and doing all those things, and just sitting quiet or giving people some advice and asking questions, my parents. So that was me, and that's how I got into psychology, and I got to matchmaking, and I got to do the things that I do now, like coming here on a Facebook broadcasting with these guys. That's when I created my identity, just by looking back. And also the other thing that works the most is if you do fasting, dry fast, you have to have a reason why you do it. Dry fast, you activate your spirit within, and the answers that you are looking for in your heart, you have to be prepared to get the answers. Sometimes it might be the answers that you don't expect. So you have to do that and keep doing it. I don't know, I do dry fast like 2 days or 3 days, or sometimes I can do the fast for, it depends with what I'm looking for. Then I ask myself questions. What do I want? For me, is God. I pray. So my Christians people will know what I mean when I pray, because to me, God is a person, is a spirit that is a person. He will reveal to me the person that I'm supposed to become, because I can't ask anybody. My destiny was written before I was born. So I don't know my destiny, but somebody knows my destiny. So that's what I do. I ask my destiny. It's like I ask, what does this mean? Everything that I do is something that gets confirmed. I don't just make a decision. If I ask a question and I don't get an answer, I stand still. So that's the advice that I can give you. You have the answer yourself, and then ask your friends, like what Granty was saying. Ask friends as well that can, because the people that know you very well, they'll be able to tell you the things that they think you're good at. But some people that are jealous, you have to be prepared. They'll talk you out of it. So be prepared to who you ask. Make sure you ask the right people. I've gone that through, where you ask somebody, they just completely shut you off. So be prepared. So we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And you can find us on Ngozi Talk Shows page and a group, or Unique Billionaire Mindset, all our social media, we are there. If you're looking for any of the coaches, you want to work with any of the coaches, my website is just there. There is the office number and a mobile number. You just call that number. Let me know which speaker, which coach you want to work with, and I'll connect you with that speaker as well. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless.